Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here for our part 2 of the weekend Cabral House Calls, answering our community's questions each and every weekend now for 5 years straight. Looking forward every single weekend to seeing what our community has on their mind. And this weekend, of course, is like most, where we have a variety of topics. We're looking yesterday at skin-based issues. We're looking at dandruff. We're trying to find the difference between bone broth and collagen. What else were we talking about? I know we were talking about female hormones in there. We were talking about yeast infections, all different topics. Anything goes on these weekend shows. Hopefully you've been tuning in for the past couple years on our weekend Cabral House Calls. If you are new, essentially these questions come in. I'm able to get to them in the order they come in. And typically it's about 5 to 6 weeks in the queue for your question to be answered. So today we are picking up with questions from October 28th, and that will obviously be about 5-6 weeks in the past. So you are able to ask your own questions, of course. I'm able to answer them, as I said, just as they come in. If it's customer service-wise, you always want to email support@equa.life, and that's the best place for customer service for products, protocols, and labs. If it is for IHP, you can email support@integrativehealthpractitioner.org. And if it's about the health results accelerators, you can email support@stephencabral.com. So those are all the supports for all different protocols and how we're able to help people. And of course, even daily questions, you can get free answers right at cabralsupportgroup.com, which is our free Facebook support group. So we're just really dedicated to giving back as much as we can to helping people heal. Because most people on my team, themselves or their children or someone in their family, has gone through some real health issues, and we're trying to get the information out to people the best we can. So if you're able to help us, meaning just share the show, it's completely free, share the Rain Barrel Effect, review the Rain Barrel Effect on Amazon if you've read it, review the podcast. Those things help us out tremendously. So if you wouldn't mind taking just literally 30 seconds right now to review those, even while listening to the show for the Rain Barrel Effect or podcast, that would be fantastic. All right. Thank you. And now let's dive into the questions. The first question today is from Noah. Noah is asking, "Hey doc, love all your videos. Super grateful to learn from a great doctor. My question is, for maybe 10 to 12 years, I've had rough red pimples, you could say on my arms, chest, back, and legs. I think it's called follicular hyperkeratosis. What can I do for that? No doctor, even my functional medicine doctor, doesn't know how to treat it, effectively get rid of it. I currently don't eat wheat, dairy, eggs, soy, and fish except salmon. I do deal with a lot of food allergies and allergies in general. Thanks." All right, Noah, great question. I just want to make sure that you differentiate on your own if it's folliculitis or if it is follicular hyperkeratosis. They're two different things. And I've done a podcast on folliculitis before, and you can obviously just do a simple Google Images search. Follicular hyperkeratosis looks very different than folliculitis. Folliculitis looks like raised pimples that typically come to a little head. And follicular hyperkeratosis is more of like... the best way to describe this is a rash that starts to get calloused. Like, that's really the best way, because oftentimes, so folliculitis, some people call it folliculitis. It is typically an imbalance in the gut, intestinal permeability, and an imbalance of pH on the skin. It can be both. It really can. So I'm often recommending on the skin a little bit of apple cider vinegar and let that dry, and then some coconut oil. That's nice and antibacterial, so that's a great thing to be able to use. And then we're doing the CBO protocol and the CBO finisher. If you really want to figure out what's going on, you want to run the 3 gut tests. You really do. You want to run that Candida metabolic and vitamins test. That's the urine test. You want to run the stool test, which is the bacteria and parasite stool test, and you want to run the IgG food sensitivity test. All those are available as a bundle at equi.life. That's EQUI.LIFE. Okay, so that's how you figure out what it is, because it's oftentimes gut-based. And then if it's follicular hyperkeratosis, it can also be abrasions on the body. I don't know, like if you're doing a sport or mixed martial arts or wrestling or anything that's contact with you, with a mat. Some people are going to be a little bit more prone to it. It's literally the body's like the body's inflamed in that area and it's building up thicker skin, like calluses. That's really what it is. It can have many different etiologies or pathophysiologies of how it's created. But I would look at the gut, I would look at abrasions, and then overall inflammation. You're someone with allergies and food allergies, so there's most likely a gut issue. And that's why I'm recommending those 3 gut tests. So hopefully that was helpful, Noah. Gail's up next. Hi, for years I've been waking up at night many times, between 3 on good days and 5 or 6 on bad to go to the bathroom. I used to wake up many times during the night that I needed to pee, but most of the time my bladder was far from being full. I started to take a medication for an overactive bladder a few weeks ago, and since then I still wake up many times during the night. But now my bladder is always full, which means I really need to pee 3 to 5 times per night. I've tried to limit any fluid intake after 5 p.m., but it did not change anything. I take a sleep supplementation as well as magnesium. I meditate, I do yoga, and I'm otherwise healthy and fit. Do you have any clue what could help me? I haven't had a straight night of sleep for years now. And of course, when I wake up at 4 or 5 a.m., it's getting harder and harder to get back to sleep. Thank you so much in advance for any help you could provide, Gail. Gail, I'm happy to help with this. And actually, what I'd like you to do is head on over to stevencabral.com/podcast, because I've answered this question actually multiple times. Let's see here. Show on folliculitis for our friend Noah is episode 540. And then let's type in nocturia. And that is basically nighttime urination. And this is actually an imbalance in the body. And the reason that it is that your body actually produces an antidiuretic hormone when you're in your deep and REM sleep, and you're asleep, so that your body's not supposed to wake up. So I'm pretty sure, well, I'm not pretty sure, I know for sure we have a show on nocturia. And let's just type in then nighttime urination. And then we'll go from there, because there are so many reasons, and I've done many, many shows on it that I want to find it for you. Okay. So we have the nighttime urination on episode 428, frequent urination. 505, we have 512 with overactive bladder. We have 576. We have 982. We have 1541. And we have 1542. A very popular topic, nighttime urination, right there in 1542 as well. And so I recommend checking out those shows, because it can be intestinal permeability issues. It could be fructose malabsorption. It could be viruses. It could be herbs that your body's reacting to. Like, there is a multitude of things, and it could be high levels of cortisol and low levels of melatonin. So you're going to be able to figure it out. In the best case scenario, you would run the big 5 labs to look at everything, but you'll be able to really pinpoint it through all of those different shows as well. So just go to stevencabral.com/podcast. You can just type in urination like I did. All those shows will pop up. All right. And there's a different answer for them. Paul is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to ask you questions. I was wondering if you consider dairy products from the animal buffalo as harmful as those from cow. I know that even if someone doesn't show a sensitivity to cow's milk on an IgG food sensitivity test, you still don't recommend it for many other reasons. Does this apply to buffalo mozzarella as well, for an example? Okay, it's a great question, and I want to specify that. The number one food sensitivity, and I've been doing this for a long time, looking at thousands and thousands of lab tests just for food sensitivities alone, is cow's milk. Okay, number one, hands down. It causes eczema in many people, not everyone, but of course, many of these people, like we've talked about on the podcast, have issues with dairy. Okay, so there's the food sensitivity part, but most cows in the United States, at least, are pumped full of estrogen, recombinant bovine growth hormone, and antibiotics. These cows are also fed foods that would ordinarily kill them because their bodies are meant to consume green things, grass, green. They're meant to be out there in the pasture. So when they're fed items such as corn and soy, and believe it or not, even Skittles, they mix it with antibiotics. And about 50% of all the pharmaceuticals in the United States go to cattle, believe it or not. And that's because we are killing our cows. They're so sick, it's disgusting. They're sick, and the milk that comes from them is sick, and the meat that comes from them is sick, right? I mean, there are literally butchers that you can see right on YouTube and other showing them cutting cancerous tumors out of the meat. It's really gross. And then besides the fact we homogenize the milk in the US, and it's nothing like regular milk. So if you say to me, what about some sheep or some goat? I would say, well, if it's raw, it'd be even better. What about yak? And what about camel? Sure, there's anti-inflammatory properties to those. There's specific immunoglobulins that have been studied. What about buffalo and buffalo mozzarella? They're much healthier choices. So yes, I don't have as huge of an issue with those. I really don't. I honestly don't. Do I think that you should overdo dairy as an adult especially? I don't. Dairy is a big factor when it comes to mTOR and potentially issues with cancer, but it's really the larger cows and the proteins from those that's more of an issue than the sheep and the goat and more of the exotic ones like yak and camel that people are talking about as well. Little buffalo mozzarella, I don't really have an issue with that at all, okay? Because buffaloes are naturally grass-fed. They're not pumping them full of hormones, at least not yet. All right, where are we? We are good on time. Excellent. Anonymous is up next. What would cause a decrease in HDL? Last year, my HDL was a 48. I was hoping to increase it this year and started taking your omega supplements in February. Eat pretty healthy, but have room for improvement. Fish once a week, flax, chia, olive oil, and nuts. Had my cholesterol tested recently, and my HDL is now a 38. It's gone in the opposite direction. My HDL-LDL ratio is good. I'm just curious why my HDL would decrease and suggestions as how to increase it. Yeah, it's a great question. I always say I can't provide medical advice. There's no treatment protocols, none of those things that would go against FDA standards. But here's what I can share with you. Let's say that your cholesterol was formerly 200 and it went down now to 165, okay? And let's say your LDL went down 30 points and your cholesterol and your HDL went down 10 points. Okay, so it's kind of like everything lowered. So I don't have the full picture here. Like, did every one of your cholesterol markers lower, including your total cholesterol? Because if so, well, it just kind of all followed suit. You're not producing as much cholesterol, high-density lipoproteins, or low-density lipoproteins. So that's one. You want your total cholesterol to your HDL to be a 3-to-1 ratio. So let's say ideally you want your HDL, by the way, above a 59. So let's say your total cholesterol was a 180 and your HDL was a 60. Okay, now you're at that borderline, which is great. You are a 3-to-1 ratio. So that's great in terms of like overall heart disease risk factors. What else could have happened though? Well, the big factors like olive oil can certainly help. There's no doubt about it. But let's say that you now you have been exercising and it's starting to catch up with you, okay? Because exercise can help increase HDL as well. If your LDL dropped, I mean, that's the thing too. If your LDL dropped substantially, then you may not need to produce as much HDL because your HDL really acts like an antioxidant. I mean, it really does. It's trying to shuttle more of the oxidative cholesterol out of your arteries to a better degree. So I can't, a lot of people would recommend alcohol to raise that HDL because a couple glasses of, let's say, bourbon or red wine has been shown to increase that. But there's just so many other side effects that goes along with it. So I can't recommend that. I do recommend making sure, I don't know what you're using besides the fish oil. I recommend getting all of your vitamins and minerals. So I do recommend the Daily Foundational Protocol Level 2 or Level 3. Again, this is not treatment protocols. And I would recommend, yes, you're getting the fish oil. Make sure you're using the 2 capsules of the omega-3 support. Make sure you're getting a couple tablespoons of olive oil a day. The fish well, certainly we could get that up a couple more times a week, but really those nuts and seeds are great as well. So let's also make sure, because remember, this is a snapshot in time. Let's make sure that this is not just an aberration with you doing like a longer fast. I don't have enough data. I apologize. I'm trying to go around in circles to help you as best I can, but I just don't have all of your data in front of me. I have no idea what your CRP is. I have no idea what any of your other numbers are, but at least I hope that was a good place to get started. Okay, Judy's up next. I was told I have sluggish bile causing poor breakdown of fats. What are some things I can do to support my gallbladder? Judy, what I recommend is heading on over to stevencabral.com/podcasts, and I want you to type in liver cleanse. I'm going to find it for you right now. I don't usually look up podcasts, but I'm on a roll today with trying to look these up because I do want people to find their answers. But it helps if you just get like the whole gist of it, right? So it's called the Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Cleanse. And I did a synopsis of that book. It's an old Ayurvedic-based methodology, and I spelled cleanse wrong. Well, you do have to spell correctly, and apparently I am not in order to find it. There we go. All right, so let's find it for you here. The difference between a cleanse, detox, and fast. Nope, not Mimosa pudica. It was a while ago, so we're going to find it here. And hold with me just for a second, and I will find it. The Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Cleanse. It was way back in the day. We're going way back. We're in the 200s. There it is. Episode 206. Talk about way back in the day. That was the very first year. August 29th, 2016, it says. And I believe there should be a downloadable plan with that as well, but I do not have that as well. I wonder if I did this a second time. All right. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to make sure that's the updated one, and I'm going to have my team give you the one-page cheat sheet on that Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Cleanse, okay? So what it does is it helps to soften the bile, and it allows for better flow. The easiest thing is that it's a simple diet plan to follow, and then it's really just a period of time from about 8 o'clock at night until about 12 o'clock the next day that you're trying to loosen up that bile and allow it to flow through your body. So that will be the most helpful for you. Check out episode 206. And then if there's an updated show, I'll link to that as well. But really what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a really easy way to give you that one-page cheat sheet. But the book is also called The Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Cleanse. Andrea Moritz, I don't know if that's correct, but I think it was Andrea Moritz that wrote that. Okay, it's just off the top of my head. Let's get one more question today. Kirsty's up next. Hi, Stephen. I know you have spoken about the ill effects of consuming dairy products, but I was wondering what your view is on raw milk dairy. I don't consume milk myself, but I've been reading that it's a good source of enzymes such as lipase and also butyrate, which is necessary for rebuilding in the colon. I follow your protocols and love all your nutrition information, so thought I'd get your thoughts on this. So much thanks. Kirsty, thank you for writing in. I appreciate you. And what I want to share with you is this. Raw dairy is completely different from healthy cows than the sick cows and homogenized dairy of today. So when you homogenize milk, you basically shoot it through a tube that breaks down all the fats, emulsifies them, mixes it with the rest of the milk so that it all looks like milk to you, right? But raw milk settles because there's a difference between the cream, the thicker fat at the top, and the more watery substance, right? That's normal milk. Raw milk contains the enzymes that would actually break down the milk. And I did a show last week on why enzymes are so important. So you wrote down that it contains lipase. It does contain lipase, but it contains lactase, and lactase breaks down the lactose, which is the milk sugar, so people don't typically get the same level of gas and bloating and those types of things. So, like, let's say you do a raw cow's cheese from a healthy grass-fed animal, then that's a different story. But, and this is a big caveat, you still want to run a food sensitivity test. Just because it's live and raw cow's milk does not mean that you may not have a sensitivity, because although it doesn't have the hormones and the estrogen and the recombinant bovine growth hormone that I said, or the antibiotics, it's still, you could still be reacting to the actual protein molecules. And when I say protein molecules, I mean the amino acid strands from the specific cow. Okay, so that's that. But you can check on that, right? The only way to know, include it in your diet as much as you would like to for about 6 weeks, and then run that IgG at-home food sensitivity test. And you might be totally fine. So there's that with that. And again, I always just have to say, raw milk from sheep and goat is going to be much better for you. Now, here's the caveat. You don't need dairy in your diet to be a healthy human being. A lot of people I work with, myself included, have essentially no dairy in their diet. And here's the reason why. You talked about cell rebuilding. You talked about enzymes. You can get those from any living food. You can take nutritional supplement enzymes like the daily digestive enzyme that I use. And butyrate. Well, butyrate's going to come from any prebiotic or anything fermentable or anything that would allow you to create those short-chain fatty acids. So acetate is the largest form of short-chain fatty acids, and butyrate's up there as well. We run those actually when you run your, it's called the bacteria and parasite stool test. It will actually look at your levels of acetate and butyrate and short-chain fatty acids. It's an amazing test, by the way. Great, great test for data. So what am I saying? Well, I mean, basically you can eat fruits and veggies and you can get plenty of short-chain fatty acids, legumes, beans, etc., and not have to get it from dairy. So it's totally your choice. Again, raw milk is very different than whatever else they're doing to those cows. Sheep and goat are better, small the animal. Again, I've talked about it before, but camel and yak milk, the more exotic ones, work too. And they do have anti-inflammatory immunoglobulin properties. So I'm never going to deny that. I'm always going to show you both sides of the equation. And then I'm going to let you say, listen, let me choose. This is what you want to do for your body. You believe that it's best for you. Good. And then for your kids too. And then run that food sensitivity test just to make sure you're not having specific immune reactions. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you so much once again for tuning into the Cabral Concept, a daily podcast dedicated to your health. And of course, if this podcast was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. And don't forget, every Monday, we go into our Mindset and Motivation Monday topic of the week. Tune in tomorrow where I talk about more on inspiration, goal setting, achieving our best life. Take care, everyone. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.